certainly will be no controversy should Bo Ryan eventually get the nod to get in. I believe he will. There has been controversy following Chris Webber's entire career. Before he arrived at Michigan, while he was at Michigan, certainly since, there was the severed relationship, the NCAA violations, the moment in the Final Four at the national championship game. And, John, I would argue that all of that kind of clouds a little bit of people forgetting what a phenomenal basketball player he was during his time in Ann Arbor.
But you also have to give him credit for kind of being the cultural phenomenon that he was. I mean, I grew up in a small suburb of Philadelphia, and this guy, to me, changed the game of basketball. Honestly, as a kid watching, and I got to tell you, I was a North Carolina fan, so I was happy to see the timeout at the time. I was thrilled to see him call timeout and get that technical foul. But this guy, there's game changers, and then there's individuals that change the game. He was the latter. He truly changed the game. He was a big guy who handled the basketball, a big guy who passed the basketball. He did everything on the floor. And he did it in a polarizing way. From the day they came onto campus, that Fab Five, he completely changed the game of basketball to the point where I don't know if we've really had freshmen for a decade after him that was as important to basketball as those guys were.
And I think the freshmen doing the things that they're doing these days, especially with Kentucky, it's become almost commonplace. We almost expect guys like Malik Monk to go for 20 a game, for freshmen like Miles Bridges to come in and immediately be the best player on their team. This wasn't the case back then. They bring in 5 guys. And listen, with all due respect to Jalen Rose and Juwan Howard, Jimmy King, Ray Jackson, great players, all. Chris Webber was a cut above. I mean, he was a different kind of basketball player.
Well, he was the centerpiece of all this. And I know there's a lot of controversy around him, whether it be the connections with his, his former teammates or whether there was money involved. There's a lot of controversy. But you have to look at what he did to the game and for the game. And I don't think in any way that the timeout in the Final Four is in any way part of his legacy. It's just what he did. He went on to have a great career. And truth be told, I think he's been a very good broadcaster.
I think he's terrific.
He's been great.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys you could tell he's really worked at it and gotten better and better, which makes you understand why he was such a great
is part of his legacy,
career.
But that's also part of the entire story,
but it didn't
isn't
stop
it?
there.
It didn't sully it either.
There, yeah.